Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining this workshop. Today we're going to talk about how you can build 3D, AR, and VR experiences in just 15 minutes or less. I'm Alan, founder of Echo AR. We are a cloud platform for 3D applications that provide tools and network infrastructure for developers and companies like yourself to build any 3D application that you can imagine. I'm going to start by saying hello. As I mentioned, I'm Alan, founder of Echo 3D. I did my master's in computer science at Columbia University, specializing in AR and VR and 3D applications. I did my undergrad in computer science and electrical engineering, so I'm a certified nerd and a big believer in the 3D space. Now, before we start, I want to level set here a little bit. I'm going to throw out a lot of these terms, augmented reality, virtual reality. So let's define them together so we will make sure that we are all talking about the same thing. So virtual reality, or VR, is when everything around you is digital. You're fully immersed in a 3D environment, and everything you're seeing around you is a digital construct that's being projected into your eyes through some kind of headset or glasses, and you're fully immersed in this 3D environment. You're controlling the world with your hands or a kind of a pair of controllers, as opposed to augmented reality, or AR, in which you still see the real world, but that world is being overlaid with 3D data. You're looking at the world through some optical see-through, like a glasses or a headset, or through a camera see-through, like a phone or a tablet. And that world is basically being injected with 3D content. A really cool way to understand this is the amazing movie Space Jam, in which we have Michael Jordan being teleported into Looney Town. Everything around him is a cartoon, basically a representation of virtual reality. He is fully immersed in this cartoonish world, interacting with Bugs and the other Looney Tunes in a fully cartoonish environment. As opposed to what we have later in the movie, in which we have the Looney Tunes coming to us, interacting with the Bugs. So Bugs and the Looney Tunes are coming to us, interacting with Michael Jordan and Bill Murray, basically coming into our world. So that's the differentiation. VR is us going to Looney Town, and AR is Looney Town coming to us. Now, these are obviously very comical examples, but something that you all know and probably used in the past or even currently is things like Pokemon Go. That's an amazing example for augmented reality, in which you have people running around, interacting with digital monsters that are not really there, and basically interacting again with digital content in the real world. And another example for VR is we have Beat Saber, a really cool game that a lot of users basically slash cubes based on the rhythm of the music in a fully digital environment. They're fully immersed in a 3D environment wearing a headset. Another example of this technology that is really close to my heart, and the pun is definitely intended, is my thesis project back at Columbia University, where we took CT and MRI scans, converted them into 3D models, put them on these smart glasses by Microsoft called the Microsoft HoloLens, and allowed the physician to basically see the patient's heart floating above them during surgery. It was an amazing, amazing use case of augmented reality in the operating room. So the hashtag was AR in the OR. But basically allowed the physician to get a 3D reference map of the patient's anatomy in real time. An amazing use case, very useful. But in order to achieve that, I had to do something that I really, really hate. And that's waking up super early in the morning. I had to go to the hospital at 6 a.m., take those 2D scans, convert them to 3D models, deploy them to application, rebuild it on the glasses. And that process was so frustrating. It took so much time. And as a developer, I only wanted to do two things. I wanted to manage 3D assets and deliver them to an AR device. And when talking to other developers and companies who are building applications for retail and shopping and industry and data visualization and gaming, they're all said the same thing. There is no easy way to manage and deliver 3D data. But if you think about it, this problem is already solved for 2D. If you want to build a website, you can use something like Heroku as your cloud backend. If you want to build a mobile app, you can use Parse or Firebase as kind of your backend as a service. So we have this amazing transition from web to mobile to now metaverse, AR, VR, immersive, 3D, call it whatever. And the question obviously has to be asked, who's going to build the best cloud platform to facilitate experiences like that? And you've guessed it, that's Echo. So Echo basically provides tools and network infrastructure for companies and developers who want to build 3D applications at scale. We provide tools and network infrastructure for developers who want to build games and any 3D experience you can think of at scale. So today we're going to see how you can use our platform to build applications, how you can rapidly create prototypes, and how you, again, can create a 3D experience in 15 minutes or less. If you have any questions and you're watching this live, feel free to jump into the chat on YouTube. And after that, also join our Slack channel to ask additional questions. So let's dive into some more concepts and then do a live demo, play around with the platform, and create applications together. So the same way that you don't need to be a web developer to update a blog post, you can drag and drop an image or video, and suddenly they appear in web and mobile. Or if I'm in New York and you're in California and we're both watching some episode on Netflix, we automatically get the best streaming experience. We translated these concepts of content management and delivery into 3D, basically allowing you to manage and deliver 3D data and get the best 3D streaming experience. And what's interesting here is this kind of bi-directional connection between content and location, content and target. You as a user, you can't move an image or a video on a website, but you can definitely move a 3D avatar across the game or a 3D couch across the room. And that needs to be updated on the cloud. So we've basically built this 3D content management system and delivery network that really helps you build applications super, super fast and allows you to manage content all over the world in 3D. You can go to our website to register for free or use the link that we provide the event organizers to basically allow you to register. I'm going to drop the link right here as well. And now we're going to basically transition into a technical demo that basically shows you how to use our platform after you register to build applications. So I'm dropping the link right here in the chat. So once you go to our website, you can register. You will get an API key that will allow you access to our platform. So once you can access the platform, you basically get your key. This is your project key. You can have multiple projects, which means multiple collections of 3D assets that you can use. And we also have integrations with many, many software platforms. If it's game engines like Unity or programming languages like Java and Swift, to basically build applications on any device anywhere. So once you register, you get that key. On the left, you're seeing our platform. On the right, you're seeing my phone. And now we're going to start adding some data to the cloud and play around with it. So I'm going to click the Add to Cloud button right here. It will allow you to add images, videos, 3D models directly from local storage, or use our collection of 3D assets already kind of preloaded in our search engine to basically inject them into your application. We have over 75,000 assets available for you to use and a very nifty search engine that you can find, again, royalty-free assets to use in your application. Well, let's start with something simple. I'm going to upload the asset of the Empire State Building to our cloud. What happens right now is that we take that 3D model that is very suited for 3D printing, for example, and we convert it so it will work in 3D, in AR, and VR. Our system will process it, store it on the cloud, and it will basically make sure that it works on any device out there. For example, now you can see that the Empire State Building is here in 3D. Originally, I have it as an OBJ file, but if I try to download it, I already see that the system converted it to other formats like GLB and USDZ. This just means that it will work on any device out there. Now that we have it right here, let's see it in augmented reality, shall we? So I'm going to click this button right here. It will open a QR code. You can actually scan this QR code right now yourself if you're watching this live. It will redirect you to a website. You don't have to install anything. And it will basically allow you to spawn that 3D model in your camera. I'm going to do it right now on my phone. So basically scanning the QR code. You can do it with any camera application. Basically, most of them already know how to kind of detect QR codes or use a dedicated QR code scanner. I can see the Empire State Building on my phone right now. How cool is that? Streaming from the web. And now if I'm going to click CNAR, data will stream from the cloud to the phone. And voila, the Empire State is here with me. I can scale it down, move it a little bit with my fingers. But how cool is that? We just uploaded the content to our cloud, and suddenly it's available to stream immediately. Very cool stuff. I can walk around it, walk inside it. Super, super, super simple. OK, so we uploaded that model to the cloud, and we were able to see it in on a website. Now what happens if I want to see it, let's say, in a mobile app? So that's also a possibility. Again, we have these integrations everywhere. If I open a mobile app right here, it will basically stream the data from the cloud to this mobile app as opposed to the browser. And I'll be able to see the same 3D model right here. Let's see. Super, super cool. Very similar to what we saw earlier, but now we have that into a dedicated app. Because it's a fully fledged app, you can add any features that you want. You can build it however you want. Perfect. So we saw web, we saw mobile, but everything we saw so far was basically allowing you to see the asset on the floor. That uses a algorithm that basically is called SLAM, but it focuses on surface detection. The camera recognizes the floor next to you and or some kind of surface like a table or a chair, and basically projects those 3D assets on top of that. Another technology that we support is image recognition, basically the camera recognizing an image and overlaying data on top of that. So let's see how that works. So I'm going to click this button right here again, the QR code, to basically show you the other options that we have. So I'm going to click see on an image instead. I'm going to scan this QR code. And again, if you're watching this live, you can scan this with me. It will redirect your website. Again, you don't have to install anything, but it will project the 3D asset now on this image, on the QR code. The QR code will act as the real world anchor for it. You can see the Empire State Building is now popping out of my screen because the QR code is basically the real world anchor for that asset, as opposed to what we had earlier. That's just basically the floor. So really, really cool stuff. Another example I can show you is face filters. So that's something that is very common today in the world of AR and VR, basically social filters. Things are really common in camera-first applications like Snapchat and TikTok. If I scan this QR code, again, it will be direct to a website. No need to install anything. And that 3D asset will be projected on my face and anchored basically as, yeah, there you go, anchored on my face using the face as the real-world anchor. Very, very cool stuff. And again, you can do it yourself just by scanning the QR code right now. Fantastic. So we saw how you can upload content. You saw how we can basically stream it to the floor next to you, to a web browser, to a mobile device, on an image, or on the floor next to you, or on your face as well. Another thing that we basically support is allowing you to upload different types of content and also allow you to have custom images. So if I can decide that I want to upload content, let's say a video, I can do that too. So let's upload that video here. There you go. And I'm also going to use a custom image at this point. So basically, instead of having the real world anchor be a QR code, I want a custom image to basically be the real world anchor. This could be any image that you want. It could be your business card, and then you project a video of yourself talking about yourself. It could be a magazine, and then you project an ad. It could be an instruction manual, and then you show a video that basically details how to do those instructions in augmented reality. And all you have to do is, again, just upload it to the cloud and choose the image target option. Another option that exists is basically tagging assets based on location. So for example, if I upload this 3D Fox, and I want to put it in a specific location, I can anchor it into, let's say, the city of New York. So I'm going to do New York here. That will translate it to real world coordinates, and basically will add the asset in a specific location. That means that you can build location style experiences like Pokemon Go with our console with just a few clicks, basically tagging different assets in different locations. Let me also upload an image, basically allowing it to show that you can upload any type of content. It could be 3D assets, it could be images, it could be videos. So let's throw that in as well. Again, our system will automatically convert and compress all these assets and make sure that they're available to stream to any device, anywhere. So we see the 3D model here. We see the video. Maybe I'll scan the see on an image. And again, if you're watching this live, you can do it too. Redirecting to a website, no need to do anything technical. Camera will open up, but now when it sees the QR code, it doesn't actually overlay data on top of that. And that's because, again, we chose to use a custom image. So if I open that image basically as on full screen, camera will recognize it, and there we go. We see the video playing on top of the image as its real world marker. Super, super simple. There you go. The video is basically projected on the custom image. And again, this image could be anything you want. Fantastic. Same applies for images. If you upload just a 2D image and you want to place it on the wall next to you, you can do that really, really easily. I can even open it in the browser right here. So if I have all these assets right here, when I click this button, basically gives me a shareable link that I can share on social media or share with friends, and that will redirect them to the same website that we were redirected by basically scanning the QR code. If I take this this URL redirects to a website, and you can already see the image in 3D. See it in AR means that you'll be able to put it on the wall next to you as a 3D sticker. Super engaging stuff, super easy for kind of try before you buy experiences and kind of e-commerce experiences that want to showcase artwork or want to showcase NFT cards. Really, really cool stuff that you can generate by just dragging and dropping assets to the cloud. Let me also share this link. I'm going to share maybe a link here in the chat that you can always go to see the Empire State Building. Perfect. So we saw how you can upload content. We saw how you can upload different types of content. We saw how you can basically upload images and videos and 3D assets, how you can see them on the floor, how you can see them on an image, how you can see them on your face. But now let's do something a bit more technical and see how we can basically use those assets into a fully fledged game engine and build applications that are a little more technical. So I'm going to open Unity right here. That's a game engine a lot of developers like to use to build 3D applications and games, usually either just straight up 3D games or also AR, VR experiences. I'm going to look at this empty scene. There's nothing here, basically an empty kind of VR space. And once I download our Unity SDK, I'll be able to double click it. It will integrate into the game engine. And then I'll be able to see the Echo 3D game object. I'm going to inject the API key, so the same project key that we have here. I'm going to put it right there, and I'm going to press play. Data will stream from the cloud to the game engine. Again, similar to how earlier we had that streaming to the device. And voila, all the data that we have in the project is streaming. We see the image, the video playing. Maybe I'll rearrange it a little bit. I'm going to delete the video because it's playing in my ear. And I'm going to rearrange data a little bit. So I'm going to use metadata to basically affect the experience in real time. So I have the Empire State Building here, and it basically covers the fox. So let's move the fox a little bit. I'm going to do x equals 10. Bam, the fox is just moved. It is visible suddenly, and it's not under the Empire State Building. If I want to animate something in real time, I can do that too. When I again go back to this kind of metadata dashboard, I'm going to do something like direction equals right. And then here, bam, suddenly it starts rotating in real time. So this is obviously a very simple example, but it is to show that you can basically project any data that you want. You can change it in real time. You can inject the data, basically updates into your application just by clicking a few clicks. And that means that non-technical team members can affect the way the application is running just with a few clicks. If I stop the experience from playing, everything disappears. Nothing actually persists on memory. All the data is coming in from the cloud to the game engine, and you can basically build applications that are really, really small and change those assets remotely and basically create an experience that is very, very dynamic. If I press play again, the application will rerun. Data will stream from the cloud to the game engine again, and we're seeing the same experience that we had earlier. And look how cool is this. This basically recreated the same scene that we just have. The fox is 10 feet away from the building. The building is rotating. So what we have here is a stateful content management system that basically remembers the state of the scene and allows you to recreate it each time that you play the game or that you kind of launch the experience. Perfect. So now let's do something a little more complicated. It's going to be a little more technical, and we're going to basically create a kind of through coding where we're going to add some features to the application. So every 3D asset that uses Echo has a custom behavior script attached to it. It's a simple script in Unity format that basically you can edit to add any feature that you want. So for example, if you know C# or any other kind of any other object-oriented language, you should be okay. But if not, that's fine. It's really, really simple to edit and change. So for example, here we have a simple script in Unity format that has two really main functions that we're going to talk about today. One is the start function, evident by its name, happens when you start the application. Another one is the update function. That is basically a really interesting one. It basically runs every single frame. Remember, you're coding in 3D now. That means that there's a scene being rendered, almost like a video being played. And every single frame, you can run this, function. Because of that, you have to be really, really careful about the complexity of this function. If it gets stuck or hangs, it will basically crash your entire application, because then your application will crash or hang. Remember your kind of CS fundamentals to make sure that you're not basically destroying your app by just putting kind of code that runs here indefinitely. You can look at this function as almost like a while true loop, or like an infinite for loop that constantly is running, and basically make sure that it doesn't get stuck. But let's do something simpler for now. We have this kind of start function that has some code in it. I'm going to enlarge it a little bit. And let's see what this snippet of code does. It says, do I have any additional data? If I do I have an additional data called name? If that's the case, let's set the name of the object to that name. It's super, super easy. So let's decide that I'm gonna let's kind of refresh stuff. I'm gonna delete this these assets. Let's just leave the fox right here, and let's decide that we want to give this fox a name. So I'm gonna do name equals Kevin. And now where we're basically streaming the application, again, it will only stream the data that the project has. So for example, now we'll have the fox here in the center. Look how cool is this? Now the fox here is named Kevin. Super simple stuff. I would basically able to run the code, run the application. It checked, does this asset have metadata called name? If it does, let's set that name to Kevin, and that's what we got. Super simple stuff. If I change this to something else, for example, let's change it to, I don't know, Jim. It didn't change on the game engine. Why is that? Because the snippet of code that we have to basically rename an asset only runs when we start the application, which means that if I restart it right now, again, it will query the data. Data will stream from the cloud to the game engine, and now there you go. Now we have Jim the fox instead of Kevin. Super simple stuff. Now, what happens if I want to do this in real time? I want this to change the same way. If it changes in the console, I want it to change in the game engine. So what I can do, and you kind of guessed it probably, is I'm going to go back to the script, and I'm going to move this snippet of code from the start function to the update function, basically meaning that every single time that I kind of run the application, it will query the servers. It will check, do I have any new data? And if I do, I'm going to change the name. So let's see how that works. So I'm going to click the play button. It will basically recompile the application a little bit. And voila, we have Jim the fox right here. If we change it now to something else, let's say Kevin, go back to the game engine, voila, suddenly it's named Kevin. Super, super simple stuff. And this basically means that you're able to change data in real time and affect anything you want. It could be an if flow, it could be enable or disabling features remotely. Super, super, super simple stuff that you can basically generate and control your application remotely. In a second, we're going to build a more complex application. Let's do like a COVID visualizer together. But the kind of concepts are pretty similar. You're bringing data from the cloud, and you can control it remotely super, super easily. We have a question here in the chat about programs are compatible with Surface Pro. Yeah, so you can basically use any device out there that has a web browser, for at least for the things that I showed in the beginning, of uploading things that are consistent with the web. You can open those links that I shared earlier in any web browser, and that should work. Note that on mobile devices, on Android, Chrome is kind of the best when it comes to optimization, and on iOS, only use Safari because that's the only browser that Apple allows to have camera permissions. So if you want to inject something to kind of the world, you'll have to have your browser has to have camera permissions. We also have kind of a bunch of sample apps that you can use. So we're gonna try to kind of download them. And if you're having issues or like kind of lag issues around seeing something on the floor, try using the see on an image feature or see on the face. They should be a little lighter for your device to process. Great question there. Perfect. So now let's build a more complex application and then go back to the console and explore some more features and things that are kind of no code-ish that you can do. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to delete this Fox, and I'm going to upload content directly from my computer. So let's do that. So I'm going to upload a 3D model of our beautiful Earth, and I'm also going to attach a CSV file, basically an Excel file that has all these pre-loaded metadata files. Our system will parse those and attach them to the asset. So I'll be able to affect the application already, so I don't have to type them in. Let's upload it to our cloud. Fantastic. While it's uploading, I'm also going to swap the custom behavior script under the hood, basically make the script that we have there a bit more complex. So let's see that. And let's see how it changed. There we go. So now the script is basically on the same format. We have the sort function, we have the update function, but it's going to be a bit more complex and interesting. Let's see. So what do we have here? So now we have this kind of collection of all the continents. We have a dictionary. We have a data structure that basically says, basically represents a graph. We have the start function that is basically the same. And the update function is much more interesting. Let's see what it does. It queries the data, says, do I have a scale? If I do, perfect. Let's parse that into a number. And then it iterates over all continents, asking, do I have a data point regarding that continent? If I do, and I have a graph, let's update that graph to reflect that data. If I don't have a graph, let's create it. Let's create a cylinder, give it a color, give it a name, give it a location, and basically position it next to the model. And if we don't have a data point and we have a graph, let's destroy that graph. Perfect. So we have the Earth spinning right here, and we have all these data points available right here. If I press play now, data, again, as we remember, will stream from the cloud to the game engine, and voila, now we're seeing Earth spinning. And what's cool about this, and that we're basically seeing all these data points, all these kind of cloud data being reflected as graph bars, showing, for example, in this example, the distribution of COVID all over the world, and creating a really engaging kind of informational 3D application about it. And if you want to change the data, no worries, we can go back here, decide the number of cases in Antarctica. Instead of 1, it's 5, and then bam, that data kind of automatically changes. Let's see that again. I'm going to do 5 to 10, and then it just changes. If we delete everything, if we delete the asset, it will also be deleted. But these are basically simple things that you can kind of change remotely and affect your application. And you can also take the source code that is fully available on our website. I'm going to share the links in a sec, and basically allow you to expand this application. For example, connect it to the WHO API to rapidly and kind of consistently change data in real time. So super, super easy stuff, and basically allows you, again, to build fully fledged applications. And again, if we stop this, everything disappears because nothing persists on memory. I'm going to share the links, some of the links right here. So if we go back to the console, we can see some really, really useful links, like our documentation that basically has a step-by-step guide of everything I did so far. So you can recreate everything we did either by watching this video or going through the documentation. Our GitHub page includes a lot of open source examples that we're going to review together right now, one of them being that code visualizer that we just built. Our community Slack that basically allows you to ask questions, engage with our team. We can help you out if you're stuck with literally anything on the platform. You can email us and just tweet. So I'm going to share some of those links here in the chat. So definitely check them out. Now, when we go to our GitHub page, we basically are able to see like a bunch of really cool and engaging open source examples. I'm going to open some of them just to share the things that you can do in 3D. So for example, let's see, what do we have here that is really cool? Here's one that we did for interior design. Here's a car racing one. Here's a freaky museum. And here's a remote work one. Let's just open some of them just to kind of export together. But again, all of these are amazing open source examples that you can use right now to build really cool applications. So let's review some of them. For example, here's an interior design demo that basically shows furniture in augmented reality. Here's a car racing game that you can build in 3D. Just inject the right models, the track, and the game kind of mechanics. Here's a demo that uses image recognition, basically bringing a museum to life with images and videos. Here's a cool example of a remote work one. You basically inject a 3D avatar that you can kind of interact with in 3D. Here's the COVID example that we just did. All the source code is there. Maybe I'll share that in the chat as well if anyone wants to kind of recreate it right now. And here's another educational demo for like a solar system app that basically allows you to visualize distant planets, literally just a few clicks. Fantastic. So we reviewed some of the resources. Let's go back to the console, see what else we can do, what other kind of no-code features do we have, and what control you can have on your application. So obviously you can switch a theme, dark being the default. You can add a data, basically like we saw earlier, that you can kind of manage the data that is associated with each asset. You can also add kind of metadata that is associated with the entire application. So an example I gave is a company that used us to build like a murder mystery game, and they had basically different assets associated with different scenes. So scene was the metadata associated with each asset, but also had global data on users and on the entire application, like the time, date, and stuff like that, that basically affect the entire application. You can add data, you can delete data, you can basically add whatever you want just with just through typing, all through text, and then you can kind of parse that into your application. You can manage your subscription of Echo. You can see how much bandwidth, storage, and API calls you're having, basically how much cloud resources you're consuming. You can see the distribution of content around the world. For example, when we added that Fox in New York, or where your users are coming from, and really see what servers are supporting your application. You can manage security verification, see which people have access to your assets, how basically you can collaborate with your team on the same project. You can see insights on your applications. For example, we just streamed the globe, so we see kind of a spike in usage. But that's, again, that will affect any asset that you upload. Basically, you're able to monitor how your application is doing and what content is performing. In the world of e-commerce, for example, if you have two couches, one is green, one is red, you can see which couch sells more, just because you can literally see all the analytics and how people are engaging with that app, with that asset. You can see the user distribution all around the world. And you can also do, and that's kind of part of our kind of enterprise offering, you can actually custom control how your content is being compressed and converted. You can say, I want this asset converted by 35%, for example, and then you can literally have that asset being kind of polycount decimated and get a much smaller version of the asset just with a click. Convert it to a 2D thumbnail, compress it, rescale it. A lot of kind of really cool kind of features that are also available through API. So everything you see on the console is also available through basically an API call that basically queries the same data. Other stuff they can do, and maybe I'll do that on the Empire State Building, is basically edit models live. So let's say you're working with the team and you have some person who's in charge of adding assets, and you have an operation kind of in charge of building the application. Instead of them going back and forth about like changing the assets and like how to edit them, you can actually edit the assets in real time in the console. So for example, let's say Christmas is coming up and I have this Empire Steel Building, and because it's Christmas, I want it to be colored in Christmas colors. So I'm basically going to change the colors right here, and that will automatically reflect in the application. Super easy stuff. Basically allows you to easily change assets and easily kind of affect how they perform just with a few clicks. So you don't have to go back to the drawing board or some 3D software, modeling software, to basically change how your assets are looking. You can literally do that with a few clicks and add that to the console. That will reflect in your game. If you're creating an experience and you want to have seasonal content, that is a perfect way to do so. Another thing that you can do, which is really nifty, is basically have that WebXR experience that we saw earlier be very customized. So for example, you can add buttons, and you can add your logo, and add like a bunch of kind of cool stuff. For example, here I just added the button text, but it can be anything you want. You can have buttons that redirect to a different URL. For example, you're selling a product and you want to add a button that basically redirects users to buy it now, or you want to add your company logo, or you want to prompt a message to add more information. You can all do that with just a few clicks. You can add sounds to the experience. You can change its background, add some camera capturing capabilities, and all will be automatically available to basically add to your WebXR experience. Super easy stuff. And again, really kind of no code. You don't have to do anything technical like we did earlier with actual coding. Our tutorial page basically allows you to see a lot of kind of frequently asked questions, see a bunch of free, open source demos like we already kind of discussed from our GitHub page. Like look at this kind of face tracking one, or the art visualization, or this kind of 3D portal, or here's a cool game, or here's one of the engineers who built a makeup tutorial. Really, really cool and engaging stuff. You're only limited by your imagination of what you can build in 3D. And here we have a bunch of examples to help you kind of explore that. And now for my favorite page, this is an inspiration page. It is filled with amazing examples of 3D, AR, and VR. If you're looking to kind of build something and you need some inspiration of what I can do, what do I want, you can use the inspiration page to basically see all these really fantastic examples of other people are using 3D in their industry, or also how they're specifically using Echo AR and Echo 3D technology to basically build applications at scale. So here's a few examples of like some of our clients doing an art exhibition, or the murder mystery game I mentioned, or this kind of NFT trading card game. Really, really cool stuff. Some of them use game engine, some of them use surface tracking, image recognition. Here's a bunch of examples around COVID, like this COVID face visualizer. Really, really cool and engaging stuff in 3D that you can build right now. So register the platform and basically go through these examples to, again, get inspired of what you can build in 3D. Really, really cool stuff. Fantastic. So I'm going to go back to the slides. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to jump in the chat, and YouTube if you're watching, and we'll be able to kind of answer them. Yeah, we have a question about limits of file size. Yeah, so no limits. You can upload really, depending on the plan that you have. You can basically upload any file size, and we will make sure that will stream anywhere in the world. We will basically compress and convert that file to make sure that it will basically work on any device out there. Great question. Another we have, is it compatible with 3D images created? Yeah, so if you upload images, we will convert, like 2D images, we will convert them to 3D stickers. When you say 3D images created on Oculus Quest, I assume that you're talking about things like Tilt Brush, like applications that will allow you to kind of sculpt things in 3D. Definitely, you can export them to an FBX file, for example, upload that file to Echo, and then automatically you'll be able to stream that anywhere. Very, very cool stuff. Yeah, Galaxy Sketch, definitely. So as long as you can export those assets from those kind of 3D paint applications, you can upload them to Echo, and then automatically you'll have a link to share them with everyone, or you'll be able to kind of bring them into a game engine. Great questions, everyone. Fantastic. So let's go back to the slides, kind of recap a little bit and wrap up. Perfect. So what do we see so far? So we saw how developers can basically choose any platform, if it's Android, iOS, or web, or game engines. We saw that content creators need no technical skills to manage content. A lot of the things that we did in the beginning and then the end of just drag and drop, click a few buttons, worked automatically. We take care of building, storing, and delivering your assets to any device out there. And you're basically able to experience that on any hardware, regardless of kind of how you go about it. We saw that developers basically save time and money in server setup. We drag and drop assets, suddenly we're able to stream them, and you don't have to worry about servers and like setting that up at all. We saw that content creators need no technical skills to build an application. Again, a lot of the things that we did were really, really no code, just drag and drop in a few clicks. And we saw the companies could scale applications all over the world, basically sending data anywhere with just one click of a button. We saw a lot of 3D experience that you can build. We talked about kind of surgery, and we talked about ads and interior design and shopping and data visualizations. Look again at the inspiration page to basically get inspired of what you can build and how kind of 3D can fit into your industry. Again, you're only limited by your imagination. It's really an amazing tool for you to use, and 3D is definitely something we're going to try to think about how we kind of inject that, how we can leverage spatial computing in that regard. A little bit more about us as a company. We won a bunch of awards, and we're back with some of the most amazing investors in the country, like Convoy Ventures, Reimagine Ventures, Space Capital, and Techstars. And we were there for every major tech event. So if you're there and you're CR team, definitely say hello. Hopefully, we'll have more and more events as kind of COVID dies down. We love to say that we basically empower developers to build applications across any platform, anywhere. We're building the track for everyone to kind of create applications with any device. And you should basically, as I mentioned, register on a platform. We have a very generous free tier that you can use and basically recreate what we just created. 3D applications at scale, 3D data everywhere on your device right now. So if you have any questions, please let me know in the chat. We'll love to answer some more. Let's see, we have a question about like viewing multiple 3D assets and 2D assets in one QR code. Yes, so definitely, if you go to our platform right here, so when you basically have this link to your 3D asset, you can actually see all of them and have this kind of carousel of assets. Let me show you how to do that. If you go right here and you just delete the entry, the specific entry, and you just like use the project key, you can have multiple assets basically loaded at the same time. If I go to this link right now on my phone, I'll be able to cycle between assets and cycle between 3D models, basically have like a gallery of the assets I have. That same works, it works the same if you have multiple 2D images uploaded, and then you'll be able to basically cycle through artwork, for example, and have a really cool engaging use case of like multiple artworks, or you're doing for an e-commerce website, and you can basically stream them and show them through a single link or a QR code. Great question. Fantastic. If you have any other questions, feel free to write them down in chat. If not, make sure to join our Slack channel and ask them there. We'll try to hang out there as well to answer questions later. Thank you so much for joining this workshop. Again, if you have any questions about 3D, AR, and VR, make sure to give us a note. You have my email right here. And again, join our Slack to basically discuss. Thank you so much for being here. Hopefully you learned a lot about augmented reality, virtual reality, and 3D. We covered a lot of things. If it's, again, surface detection, image recognition, face recognitions, and all that we're able to kind of condense into a really quick 45-minute session. So if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out. Make sure to register at echo3d.co. And thank you so much for joining. We have a question here. Is it possible to integrate AR with a Flutter app? Yes. And also in our platform itself, we have a Flutter SDK that you can use and a fully fledged kind of open source Flutter application that you can use. I'm going to drop the link in the chat right here. Basically, fully open source project that you can use, and it will allow you to build applications really, really quickly. So you don't have to kind of do a lot. We already kind of did that integration for you. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Have an amazing weekend. Stay safe and healthy, and make sure to register to Echo3D to create really engaging 3D experiences. Have a good one, everyone. Thank you so much.